This is based on a beloved classic dish found in southern Italy, but with a couple of twists. There are two things I really like about this. First, people who are not very fond of cabbage still usually love this dish. There's some enzymatic chemistry going on that transforms the cabbage into a flavor more reminiscent of artichokes, or at least a hybrid of the two. The second good thing about this is that even if you leave out the bacon or pancetta, it's still a satisfying course without the meat, and it makes a great healthy side dish too.
Yeah, all the ingredients lined up here is the cabbage, 50 to 60 grams of onion, a couple cloves of garlic, a couple of dried Turkish bay leaves, fresh parsley, parmesan for later, white beans. Usually I prefer using larger beans for this, but this is all I can get right now. The salt now.
The spice mixture I'm using here is the Austrian one from volume 3 of my cookbook series, but you can use the substitute explained in the annotations at the start of this video.
And we're ready to begin. We've got to begin by chopping up the cabbage and the onion. Yes, you can do this by hand, but the results won't be as good, because when you do it with a food processor, these little bits will commingle, and there's enzymes that react with each other. That's part of the reason this recipe works. So if you have a food processor, use it with this. Also, if you can possibly make this using my vodka chili sauce, do so. If you can't, you don't have the time to make it, you can use sriracha for the final seasoning, but that vodka chili sauce is going to work a lot better. That's really, really good in this. The only other ingredient, if you're making it the non-vegetarian version, the meat version, then put in the coarsely chopped pancetta or bacon on a cold pan and turn up the heat, let it render the fat out. You can use a splatter guard. In fact, it's a good idea because it's going to be popping and cracking in a minute. Then, while the bacon or pancetta is frying, or the pan is getting hot with the olive oil, this is the onion and the cabbage. That's the only things in there. And we'll give it just a little bit more. Okay, that's what you want to see. Finely chopped like this. Here's what it looks like after just over 10 minutes. Heat setting is number 6 out of 10, just a little bit over medium. Needs more than this. We want to crisp it up a little bit. We want to get as much of that fat out of there as we can. Okay, it's been about 15 minutes now. Now, here's a point where you have to make kind of a judgment call. How much oil is in the pan? If there's not very much, you might need to add some olive oil. It's especially the case if you're using pancetta. You can go through the process of getting this bacon out of there and then transferring it to a pan, draining the oil off. This is just a nice quick way of doing it. Just sponge up some with a paper towel and continue on along. Saves you a lot of time. Now, add this in. This is the cabbage and onion mixture, of course. Begin frying this, and once that's transferred in, I'm going to add the spice mixture. This is the Austrian spice mixture I'm using. There's the salt and the bay leaves. Now we'll just stir this in, and we're going to cook it for about 5 minutes first, just like this. Okay, it's been about 6 minutes now actually, and I'm going to lower the heat down now to 4, a little bit less than medium. Make sure that by now the cabbage is absolutely all coated evenly with the olive oil or bacon fat, as the case may be. I'm going to push these bay leaves down underneath. Not stirring anymore. Now the lid goes on, and we're going to leave this cook without disturbing it. Just leave it sit on the burner. Medium heat, medium-low heat. Okay, it's been 15 minutes now. Now I'm going to give it a stir. And we're going to continue cooking this without a lid. Yeah, that's what you want to see, some little brown bits of the cabbage and onion in the bottom, but not too much. Just a little bit. That lightly toasted, those lightly toasted bits at the bottom are part of the important part of the flavor here. lids off. I'm going to add those beans, parsley, garlic, and either sriracha or the vodka chili sauce. Stir this around and let it cook a little bit more with no lid. Same heat setting, number 4 out of 10. Okay, and after 4 or 5 minutes, you're going to pick the bay leaves out of it and add the parmesan cheese and stir that on, and you can kill the heat now. Just turn the heat off. Stir this together, get the cheese melted well into the mixture, and then just set it off to the side. You can refrigerate it at this point if you need to before continuing, or you can just set it off to the side on the counter for a couple hours. It's not a problem. Now, of course, you can make one big dish out of this, but I prefer it as individual little au gratin type dishes. I'm putting some breadcrumbs on top, and also just a little drizzle of olive oil on top, and now it goes under the broiler.
I'm very pleased to announce the release of Volume 3, The Focus on Food Chemistry. I want to clear up a few things about these 3 volumes. First, they all contain completely different information. There's no duplication, they're not revisions. When I wrote Volume 1, I had 2.5 years of YouTube videos to cover. People had been asking me for the printed list of ingredients for all of those dishes, and so I obliged. There are recipes with stepwise directions and many tips offered throughout, as well as an extensive history of Russian cuisine over the last 1,000 years, but Volume 1 is very different from Volume 2 and 3. In Volumes 2 and 3, I only had about 9 months of YouTube recipes to cover in each, so I was able to provide stepwise directions for everything. In Volume 2, I included a lot of additional information about cooking and some simple examples of flavor chemistry to set the stage for Volume 3. While Volume 2 hopefully got you thinking about some of the processes that go on in cooking and how flavors are expressed and sensed at the molecular level, the topic was painted with pretty broad strokes to make it easy to digest, pun intended. Volume 3 is a milestone of the series, in which I have included an entire introductory course in food chemistry, which is why Volume 3 is about 70 pages longer than Volume 2. And if you just want the recipes, that's okay too. You don't have to read the first few chapters. But if you've ever been curious about what influences tastes and flavors and the rationale for deciding cooking times and temperatures and why things taste different when they're combined in different ways, this book will answer many of those questions. It also paves the way for Volume 4, which will be next year. If you want to know more about my adventures as a chef around the world and have some great laughs along the way, be sure to check out the video tour of my book, 40 Years in One Night. It's up on YouTube right now. Click the link. Also look for my cocktail book, Cocktails of the South Pacific and Beyond, Advanced Mixology, available through Amazon online.